welcome back to Talking Spit After Hours. We your hosts, TJ Bay and Alan Poe, back once again, bringing you guys nothing but the latest and the greatest. T, another week's gone, another week passed. We back up in here. What's good with you, man?
Hey man, well, before we even get into anything, man, y'all gotta recognize the growth, man. You check the background and shit, what I'm saying? That shit comes out of because Al's been putting in work. Hmm. I'm really proud of his progress, man. Look at that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I mean, you've also helped on creating, the new backgrounds and new styles that we're trying to come with. Um, yeah, man. Just so it's funny, to learn things on the fly, to figure out you could do new things. Because this whole concept was, I was bored yesterday and just I was going through stuff, just clicking buttons. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, oh, that's pretty dope. Oh, that's
Yeah,
might be interesting, So, but I appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys like it. Hard at work, trying to make you guys see the growth, and then also give you guys better content overall.
yeah. Well, kudos to you, my friend. That is dope. I am really loving the background. Yes.
I appreciate it, man, and thank you as well.
Yeah, so we got a couple things we wanted to chat it up with you guys about, give our opinions on. So I guess the first thing we're going to start on is we all know that we'll take a moment of silence for the Queen passing. Yeah, Queen, is it Queen Elizabeth?
Queen Elizabeth the Second.
She was the second.
The
Okay.
second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know much about the Queen. I just know that she's, like you mentioned before we even started the podcast, that she was been alive since we were born. And
Yeah,
so,
it's just crazy
yeah,
to think. It's just crazy to think that she's been the royal monarch, the head of the monarch, since we were born. So, I think she was crowned in 1952.
damn.
So, I mean, yeah. So she's the longest reigning monarch.
Yeah, I believe they said it was something like she's been the queen for like 70 years or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And now your boy Prince Charles finally gets his chance, man.
A
Finally,
chance for what?
to be king. Now who knows how long that's gonna last, but at least he finally gets a shot at it, I
Well,
guess.
what the hell did, okay. So I understand back in the old days, right? The king and the queen, they set laws, and what they said was, well, like basically a win.
Right.
So I'm confused. Okay, you have um, what's it called? You have the Vatican, right? You have the Queen, right?
Uh huh.
And then you have the actual law.
Well, the queen is pretty much a figurehead. She really doesn't have any power. I believe the Vatican has all say, basically. And yes, they do have parliament and things of that nature
Right.
who create the laws, but I think everything's still going underneath the Vatican.
Okay, because yeah, that's confusing out there, man. When
Yeah, they used to
like, how
have
do you?
yeah. Well, the queen, the queen and kings of past time, they did have rule. They did,
Right,
but
you would
over
answer to
centuries,
them.
yeah, right. But over time, that dissipated. Once more countries got their independence from England, then that's when their power kind of
Subsided, and
right
then okay.
evaporated.
So basically, being the queen now is just a title.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of correlate it with the president of the United States. And what I mean by that is everyone knows, or they should know, that the president is the figurehead, right?
Right.
He doesn't make the laws, doesn't make the rules. It's his job to try to implement them and just to govern over the United States
But he has power though.
in certain situations, but he doesn't make laws. Like
Right. He
if
doesn't
I
make laws, but
right,
he governs them.
right. So think about whenever there's like a new idea that they might want to implement, it goes to a vote, yay or nay.
Right.
and Congress decides on what gets passed and what doesn't get passed.
Oh, okay.
You know, whenever they try to come with a bill, you know, I am a bill. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
only a bill. Right.
So, so basically, the Queen would be the president of England, kind of.
Right.
All right, whatever. So, what's your take on it, man? I mean, it it is sad when people pass away, of course,
Right.
but
I
I've
mean,
seen so much stuff that's saying like, it was maybe bad stuff.
yeah, I've heard, excuse me, I've heard that that family, well, at one point in time back in the day, before we were even born, they pretty much ruled the whole earth. You know,
Right,
they took over a lot of territory, a lot of land, and they pretty much owned the earth. And so, and you know, back then, you read in history books, in order to get land, what you do, you had to slaughter people,
right.
right?
So
So, so that family's known for, you know,
the conquest,
yeah,
but
conquering.
so basically, what that's kind of saying is they're the reason that people are over here from England in the first place.
Well, yeah, well, so a lot of people left England because they didn't want to be ruled by the queen anymore.
Right,
But the funny part is about that is okay, you left, but yet you still implement their rules and still try to do, you know, pull the same shit over here that you didn't like over there.
right.
So did you really want to get away, or is this like a sort of expansion that you have under disguise as being the United States?
They expanded, man. That's why it still says like when you see shit, it says District of Columbia and all that shit.
Hmm.
That's why it's not. This is the United States is the actual United States, but a lot of our shit is from the District of Columbia in England, which is weird.
And it's also weird that the White House resides in District of Columbia.
Right.
Right.
Which is not even part of the United States, I believe.
And we're not trying to get canceled here. We're just, you know, breaking it down here and
Right.
there.
And
You know what
we're just asking questions, like I mean, it's honest to God questions. If you sit and think about it, like, yeah,
Well, yeah, because some folks would be like, "Oh, they're over here, you know, trying to, you know, conspiracy theorists
you're
again, once again, like
right.
there they go again." But nah, I mean, you know, we're just talking it over, trying to think about, well, that's kind of weird. That's pretty funny. So,
Right. So, I mean, we more into anyone's passing and stuff like that, but I don't know much about the Queen. The only reason we mentioned her is because a lot of people are talking about it.
but also, I think she was more polarizing, and what I mean by that is she was more seen, like you know, especially like in the news,
Right.
newspapers,
Tabloid.
tabloids, right? So she was always a public figure, so to speak,
Mm,
which is what her position is now or was then. You know, she was
right.
more she was just the face of London of England.
But I wonder if she had an Instagram or something.
Oh man, she'd probably have 1 billion followers. She'd blow
Well,
up.
that's the thing is like, if she's a public figure and stuff and she's the Queen of England, 'cause I wonder if, but no, I remember them saying they're not allowed to have social media. But just think though, if she had an Instagram, what she would be posting on and shit like that. 'Cause
Well, I
you
mean,
really get to see, I mean, you really get to see who she was. She taking pictures in the pool. She got these luxury cars and shit. She got
well,
glasses on.
now,
Uh,
well, it would be very funny. Let's say if the next one up to bat instead of Charles, let's say if she had a great granddaughter who was 19 and now she's the Queen of England, right? So now she has a TikTok. She's doing TikTok videos,
right.
and you know what I mean. So yeah, you know, it'd be a little different.
And you know what, man? I mean, honestly, because I would have thought it was hella cute and whatever. If that old lady would have had her own social media platform and doing like, if she was trying to do the TikTok dances and shit like that,
Right.
because I would have been laughed.
Yeah, but then again, who knows? She could have been like Trump
Mm,
and just spewing hatred. I doubt it, but you know what I'm
but
saying.
I doubt that.
You never,
But
you really don't know a person. So, you know.
right,
Speaking of not knowing people,
all
oh
right,
man,
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 yeah,
you know, Hall of Fame quarterback, the most hated man in my life, ex Green Bay Packer, Brett Favre, or Brett Favre, as some might say.
Faber, Brett Faber,
Hey man, this dude
not Brett
stole.
Favre.
Hey, this dude stole $6 million in welfare money to fund his daughter's volleyball stadium.
Now wait, okay, we gotta we gotta address the elephant in the room first. We have to address the elephant in the room first. This is Brett Favre, like you said, Hall of Fame quarterback, NFL, pretty much beloved by a lot of people.
John Madden loved him.
Right. So let's just say this. You needed $6 million. You had to embezzle or do whatever you had to do to get $6 million from the welfare fund. I mean, fuck it, man. Brett Favre, because you didn't even have like a quarter of that. Like, man, what is you doing with your life outside of football right now?
Oh, well, I'm sure he had the money, but he's like, why am I spend my money? Like,
Nigga, yeah, like, hey, it's your alma mater. You see
true,
countless
true.
people. You see countless people do it. I do recall, who was it? I remember back in the day that somebody went back to their school and put in a lot of money into their own money
Mm-hmm.
into their school. Now to use welfare funds from people like, people that actually need the
Right.
money,
That's the fucked up part.
that's the fucked up part. And I'm thinking like this is Brett Favre. Like, okay, the way you went about getting the money is, yeah, that's Brett Favre-ish because you're like a high profile dude. You ask somebody for money and then they give it to you. But the
Right.
person you asked though, like,
But the point is, they didn't even ask. They just took it.
well, that's the thing though, is like, why would he go to him? Like, I'm sure Brett Favre knows countless of people with money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
True. Or
he
maybe,
knows people.
or maybe he's an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, let's say during his ascension in the NFL, maybe he was a jerk to everybody. So,
He
you know,
burned bridges.
right. So like those
Can't
people,
cross them no more, right? Yeah.
right. So like those, those people that he used to know, he can't go to like, hey, can you help me out? Like, man, fuck you. Like, you was a dick then, you a dick now, man. Fuck you. You didn't share
But
none.
I'm
You didn't
fair.
share. You didn't share none. None of that Wrangler's money.
See, that's I'm just dumbfounded that Brett Favre uses welfare money excuse me, allegedly uses welfare money to fund his daughter's volleyball gym at his old school's, I mean, his old college alma mater. Good Lord.
Yeah, there's definitely different ways that he could have went about this and fundraisers. So
Not just fundraising, like, yeah, just like
I don't
motherfucker,
know.
you're Brett Favre. Like,
Yeah,
dude, put a what's that? Do a GoFundMe, man. You know how many motherfuckers would have just donated to that shit just because you're Brett Favre?
it's definitely deeper than rap. There's something going on between him, the school. You know what I mean? There has to be
Man,
something
yeah,
intertwined. There has to be
right.
some money laundering, and I'm not saying this is
This
true.
is
I'm
all
just
allegedly speaking.
allegedly speaking, but there has to be something deeper underneath all this, not just that they got $6 million. Okay, $6 million for a stadium, but who's getting broke off? Who's getting paid underneath the table for this? I'm
Nah,
sure
man, we
Brett
got
Favre.
to see.
I'm sure Brett Favre's getting some
Yeah,
sort of
that's the
back end.
thing. Okay, so we got to see the actual, the financials for this. The actual price budget down because I know you could do something that's like a state of the art gym and make it worth $6 million. Yes, but have we seen the Southern Mississippi gym? Does it look like it's worth $6 million?
I've never seen it.
Exactly.
Not only
I haven't
that,
seen it either, but I've seen a $6 million gym, and it's compared to what I've seen at these other big schools. That's pennies on the dollar compared to like Ohio State,
right?
Michigan, and Notre Dame, places like that. Because their gyms and shit like that is like 20, $30 million. You know,
True. Not only that though, why not? I mean, you have all these connections, like just like you said. So why not broker a deal either between Copperfit or Wrangler and have them be put their names on the building?
Right, you dummy.
I'm just saying, and then you can still get paid for brokering the deal. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, we're just normal people, though. You know what I'm saying? We're not public figures, so.
Right. And the thing I hate the most is, okay, I've only seen one media outlet bring this up, and that's Shannon Sharp. But Sports Center, they're not talking about it. No other sports, shows are talking about this issue right now, and it's fucked up because when Michael Vick, and I saw this on Facebook, when Michael Vick was going through his dog issues for dog fighting, it was on every outlet, regular news, overseas news, internet, everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
I posted that a post about that on our page this morning.
yeah, that's right.
And then uh yeah, someone said, well, it's because Brett Favre is still speculation. Like fuck that. Speculation, whatever. They were speculating that Michael Vick was fighting dogs, and yeah, they
Right.
threw that nigga, they drug that nigga all under the rug in there. So, but I know it's Brett Favre. It's ESPN's beloved Brett Favre. So,
It just makes me feel like we really like as humans, we really don't give a shit about each other. You got to think about it. Okay,
nah,
so Michael Vick was fighting dogs. Now everyone loves their pets, everyone loves their animals. I get it.
right.
That's harsh, but this man, you know, stole
So,
$6 million from the
welfare.
welfare from people that actually need that money, that can use that money to help better their lives. Not even help better it, but at least get them food and some clothing.
Get them food and put clothing on their back. And with school being back, being back in, a lot of people need supplies for school and stuff.
Right.
You know that list you get from the school,
Mm-hmm.
man, all the shit that they want you to buy, but they never use. So
Like it's so bad. Speaking of school, it's so bad that they're looking for part-time teachers, like substitutes, and you don't even have to have a degree. You can just, go to the school like, hey, I can sub a couple classes. Just give me the paperwork. I'll pass it out. Things of that nature. That's how bad it
uh,
is.
yeah, it's because a lot of teachers now is
Fed up.
with the students,
True.
with the pay, and then man, we've been hearing about teachers' pay since we was little, and I don't think it's changed.
No.
I don't think it's changed at all. Like there hasn't been any drastic increase. There hasn't been any decrease really. It's just been stagnant the whole damn time.
Do you think the internet did that?
I'm
Meaning,
not sure.
meaning that before we had internet, you went to school to learn, right? So you were in
Right.
class, your teacher could teach you things. Now with the internet, you learn
They
more
just,
off the internet than in class.
right. He's like fuck it, Google.
I wouldn't be surprised if they said, "Hey, your school is on the internet now. Here you go." But younger kids need an interaction between other kids to know how to socialize in
Right.
public. But I wouldn't see it being too far gone, especially if all teachers get fed up. Like, nope, when I come to school, you got one teacher. There you go.
Yeah. Just change up the curriculum now. Just make it to where you learn how to Google search. You learn Google Analytics. You learn Google SEE. I mean, SEC.
Right.
Stuff like that. And they're starting to teach that in college, but they need to incorporate that in the high school now, so these kids can have something. They can become professionals as soon as they get out of college and get these jobs at problem solving these computer things.
You ever felt like you were
But
like too smart that you were stupid? So it took me a while to realize, like after high school, I was like, oh, that's why you had, electives to learn about stuff that you might want to do when you get older for a career. I thought they
right,
were, in my head, I'm thinking they're just classes to pass, but I didn't really think like, oh, I could use this to further my career and actually have a career doing this.
I it's funny because I hear my stepkids say that all the time right now. It's like, yeah, I just need an elective so I want to try something. I just don't want to have a regular class and stuff, so I can do something fun and get an A. Like, it's
I
like,
was I
damn,
was so
yeah, I was
easy.
thinking that same way too. I was in that same boat. But yeah, since we're older and wiser now, it is something because you had auto shop
Hmm.
and all that stuff. And then I was just thinking, like, back when I was younger, I was like, nigga, I ain't gonna be no mechanic. Nigga, I'm about to play in the NFL because what I'm gonna be doing fixing the car.
And now, so
But
now you look at their salary like, damn, they make
uh,
bank.
the motherfuckers getting 70, 80 grand a year to us now. I mean, as an adult, that's like NFL money. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Like one of the classes that I think about that I had at King Middle School was I had drafting, and basically that was like drawing floor plan. I'm sorry, excuse me, floor plans of homes. I was like,
See,
man,
that's
if I'd have kept
architect.
up to that, yeah, right,
Yeah.
I could have kept up to that and been an architect. But
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that too. Is a nigga, I took wood shop. And guess what I do now?
right. Now just think how much further along you would be.
Right. I could have been like a foreman at like some huge ass, construction company and shit like that by now. But you live and you learn, man.
Of
Um,
course, of course. Hopefully, you guys learn from us.
right. You can teach the kids something, a little something, pass the knowledge on, and hopefully they build from it.
Don't be like these two dudes.
Right. Speaking of that, because, you're talking about build from it and passing knowledge on. Let's get into that last topic that you wanted to talk about because it's glorifying going to jail. Because I do hear this all the time and it cracks me up. Every dude, all the dudes that talk about it, uh, and you hear it all the time. Oh yeah, I've been in the pen. I went to jail. Oh, I was there. I was there. I was this. I was that. It's like, yeah. Why do we do that?
Well, the reason why I actually thought of that topic was because of one was Brett Favre, and I thought about Michael Vick going to prison, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it took me back to like, you know, whenever you might have an altercation with somebody growing up, like, fool, I've been to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and they wear that with a badge of honor. And as I get older, it's like, why do certain people, especially I would say like the Hispanic, Latinx, black communities, it's like we wear
Mm-hmm.
going to jail as a badge of honor. Why do we do that?
Well, I think there's two things to that. One is it's a sign of toughness, show how tough you are, or whatever. And two, it's like we were pre, we were what is that? We were trained to think that was cool. So the more it's just like okay, it's hard for me to explain it in just a couple simple words to where you can just take it. So what I'm gonna do is just say it like this. All right. So you know how in rap before we had all this talking about Draco's killing and all that stuff, there was conscious rap. There was talking, there's about motivation, there's about positivity,
Right.
there's about growth. So when that changed, right, everybody that changed, that started rapping coming up started changing with it. And they don't talk about positivity and growth anymore. It started going to negativity, uh, being tough, killing, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So earlier, and I mean like in the '80s and stuff like that, people went to jail. This like when we went, like a lot of people older than us when they went to prison and shit like that, they just got out and we knew they was in prison, but they never glorified it. And then it
Right.
was like, yeah, I was in prison. Like, yeah, they would tell you like, okay, nigga, you don't want to do this because you don't want to end up like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And be in prison for such and shit like that. But it was never worn like a badge of honor. So I think over the years with it being like our, hip hop culture and stuff like that, with people talking about it, and you can hear about it in songs and shit like that. Like so I'm gonna use an example: Young Thug talking about, "Oh, I got judges on the payroll and all this shit."
Right.
Now, it became a cool thing,
Hmm.
and so now going to, people talk about it as being cool. So now even the old heads, Hispanics or whatever, not only is it being tough, it just shows that you're being cool now because you went to prison. So
Yeah, but
it's
like, when are we gonna when are we gonna get that thought process out of our heads? Because I mean, it's not cool, man.
somebody got to change it, man. Somebody else got to think it'd be cool, and then they got to talk to one other person, and that person thinks it's cool,
Well,
and then they talk to another person, and they think it's cool.
I could see it being cool. Okay, let's say if you live that life, right? If you're in the
Yeah,
gangs, whatever, and you held it down, you went to prison, held it down. So when you get out, your boys they respect you. Like, oh yeah, he held it down in prison. He didn't snitch. He didn't do
right,
it. So I can see that being as a badge of honor, right? If you're in the
right.
gangs. What I'm talking about, just like
Normal people,
normal
random
people
people,
who go to
right?
jail and think they're tough because they've been to prison or they've been to jail,
See,
and
that
and
was the
and,
thing,
and they're and they're proud of it.
and they're proud of it, right? I want to say this, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to glorify or anything like that. When I was in jail, and and there was a bunch of people in there, that the motherfuckers, it was just like second nature just being in there, they was playing cards and shit, doing push-ups, yada yada yada. It was just like, God damn, like I'm in there like, man, fuck that. 'Cause I don't want to be in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get the fuck out of there. So
Right.
while people was playing cards and shit, you know what I'm saying? I was on that computer that they have in the jail and I was looking up laws, you know what I'm saying, statutes and all kinds of shit because I was writing motions and stuff and,
Hmm.
uh, you know, doing all this shit, trying to get my ass up out of there. And that's what I think. I did notice that a lot of people that were in there were starting to think that was kind of cool instead of just being like wearing the badge of honor of being there. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like, oh, look at this nigga. He like, okay, yeah, I noticed I'm used to these niggas playing cards and doing all this shit, but this nigga been in the computer every single day, you know what I'm saying? At least like 6, 7 hours out of the day,
Right.
just writing laws, looking shit up, you know what I'm saying? They seen me file my motions and shit because I was telling the order, the whatever, the COs to come in, take
Hmm.
my motions up to my lawyer and have them file them and shit like that. And them niggas like they started thinking that shit was cool. So I guess it's just changed the stigma. Like I said, and when I was talking to them, it's like, oh yeah, nigga, I've been in here. This is my fourth time being in here. I was like, nigga, so what? Like I was like, how is that cool, nigga?
Nigga, so
Like
what?
nigga, you lost your job. Your girl messing around some with Pookie you down the street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Your kids calling Pookie pops and shit, dad.
She don't
And
come
like
see
you
you.
nigga, but
She don't come see you no
yeah,
more.
you don't get no visits or you get a phone call, she pick up your phone calls and shit like that, but you proud to be in here though.
Right.
Like and the stigma just got to change, man. Like people, too many people just think it's cool being in there because it's a sign to, it's not just a badge of honor, it's a badge of toughness too,
True.
which is not.
I
It's
mean,
not.
and then to think real quick before I wrap up, and to think, I'm sure there are a lot more people that have been to jail that don't even talk about it.
Oh man. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's
Right.
like I've been there. I'd rather not talk about it. So let's not even bring it up.
Right. And I don't, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, when people say that, and I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody, but when people bring that shit up, I don't really bring that up just to be like cool. I bring it up to tell, like to say it. I'll say it to a younger kid. You know what I'm saying? If he's wild and shit like nigga, I've been in jail. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go there. It's not cool.
Right.
They tell you, it's 10 times worse or whatever. You don't want to go there, so don't think it's cool and whatever. Even in jail, I was in there with this little kid, man, uh, 19 years old. I was talking to him and stuff, and he was really big on like he can fix it. He told me how to fix my car without even looking at my car. You know what I'm saying? I got
Right.
out, I went home and did what he told me to do. That motherfucker started right up, and I was just like, damn,
He,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
He's wasting his talents.
Right, he's wasting his talent. But he was in there talking like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm in here for such and such. I was doing this and yeah." I was like, "Motherfucker," yeah. He was telling me that, and I was like, "Motherfucker, you think I think that's cool?" And he was like, "What? What you mean?" He was blood, he was
Right.
dumbfounded, like, "What
Because
you mean?"
he was bragging about like, oh yeah,
Right?
he's gonna think I'm
Yeah.
cooler because of the crime I committed, so he might think I'm cool.
Right. So I was
Yeah.
like, man, that shit ain't cool, man. I was like, man, what you like doing? And he's like, man, I could fix cars. And then every time he would talk to me, that's all he would talk about was, fixing cars and shit like that, because I mean, people, it's just the older people, man. It's our job to be right now. And
Right.
it is our job. It's our job to educate these younger kids right now because they're on the path to, I mean, complete destruction, man. And I be trying to do that. At first, I was just like, you know what, man, fuck it, man. I'm too old to be telling these young Thundercats, whatever the hell. But now I just feel like it's my duty because, like, I can't just sit back and just watch these kids destroy themselves no more.
It's definitely hard. You got to think about when we were growing up as well. Couldn't no one over tell us anything, man. It's like we knew it
Oh yeah, man.
all
Nobody. Yeah, you tried to like
right.
nigga. What?
So
Man, shut up. You ain't my dad.
I think a lot of us we're just like, man, whatever, because we already went through it. Like, let's not even waste our time and bother with it. But I think by us not doing that or trying to get involved in the younger people's lives, that now they're just left on their own to discover the world out there, not knowing rights and wrongs, or they might know right and wrong, but yet they choose to just do it their way, and it might end up in a grave situation.
Yeah, that shit is crazy though, man.
Yeah, it goes fast. It goes really, really fast.
It goes hella fast.
All right.
Speaking of which, man, fast.
Just like this episode went by pretty fast.
Yeah, I'm loving this, man. You know what, Al? I'm really digging this background, man. I'm sitting here looking at it. Like, my thoughts are, I'm trying to keep my thoughts fluent and shit like that, but I'm just looking at the background, just completely amazed by it.
It definitely does look a lot more cooler. It doesn't
All
because
right.
there's not that box around us, so it's like we're just free floating.
Yeah, and it just feels like I'm sitting like, what
Right
I'm
next to
saying?
yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that
what
nigga
up,
right
T?
here.
Yeah, yeah,
My nigga Al right here.
me and T just chilling. Hey, what's happening?
Right. But yeah, nigga, so I mean, the moral of this episode, man, there's a couple things here. I guess with the queen, everybody may not seem, or what is it?
Distraught.
I just think is my moral. I'll say is because everybody isn't who they seem they are, and the reason being is because I guess what you saying how much her family conquered and had pillaged and did all that shit.
But that was her family. That wasn't her.
Right.
But it's still tied to her lineage.
It's
So
still tied to her
yeah,
lineage. She's
yeah.
been
So
alive for 52 years. She's been the queen for 70 damn years. And a lot of their stuff is in the tabloids, but a lot of that shit is private. They keep out. So we don't know what she's been doing behind closed doors. And I'm just going to go on a limb and just say I can probably bet that it's not all, roses and shit like that, whatever, and jewels and crowns or whatever.
I hear you. But hey, man, like you said, you never know. But
And you never know.
let's end this episode up, man. Thank you guys once again for listening to Talking Spit After Hours. We're your hosts, TJ Bay and Alan Poe. If you like it, you like it. If you love it, you love it. We love y'all. Peace.